Something is happening with Anthony Davis and the Los Angeles Lakers that nobody is talking about loudly enough, and the decisions made in the next several months could completely reshape the trajectory of this franchise for the next decade. Welcome to Lakers News Fan Report, your daily destination for breaking news, insider analysis, and the real conversations driving the future of our Los Angeles Lakers. I bring you exclusive perspectives on every roster decision, every strategic move, and every development that impacts our championship aspirations. Today, I'm diving deep into a situation that connects Anthony Davis's legacy, the Lakers' competitive window, and whether this organization is positioned to maximize what could be the final prime years of one of the greatest two-way big men in NBA history. Let me start by establishing where Anthony Davis stands in the current NBA landscape, because this context is absolutely critical for understanding what comes next. AD is averaging 24.3 points, 11.8 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.4 steals, and 2.1 blocks per game this season, while shooting 55.2% from the field. Those numbers place him among the elite handful of players in this league who can genuinely dominate on both ends of the floor. His offensive rating of 118 combined with a defensive rating of 108 demonstrates that when he's on the court, the Lakers are significantly better in every measurable category. This isn't just about raw statistics, it's about impact that translates directly to winning basketball. The challenge that keeps Lakers management awake at night isn't whether Anthony Davis can play at an elite level, because we've seen repeatedly that when healthy, he's one of the 5 best players in the entire league. The challenge is availability, durability, and how to construct a championship roster around a player whose injury history creates legitimate concerns about consistent presence throughout an 82-game season plus playoffs. AD has dealt with everything from ankle sprains to knee issues to shoulder problems over his career, and while none of these have been catastrophic, the cumulative effect creates roster construction complications that require sophisticated strategic thinking. Now, here's where the situation becomes absolutely fascinating from both a basketball and organizational perspective. Anthony Davis is 32 years old, entering what should theoretically be the tail end of his prime years, but still performing at a level that suggests he has several more elite seasons ahead of him. His contract situation creates a decision point that the Lakers must navigate with extreme precision. Do you commit long-term financial resources to a player with his injury history? Do you build the entire future of the franchise around him as the centerpiece? Or do you hedge your bets by maintaining flexibility while trying to compete for championships right now? The Lakers' front office has been masterful in certain aspects of roster construction over the past few years, but they've also made decisions that created complications. The focus on veteran minimum contracts and lack of mid-level talent has occasionally left the roster thin when injuries strike. The inability to consistently develop young talent through the draft due to trading future picks has limited options for cheap, controllable assets. Every decision in the NBA creates ripple effects that impact future flexibility, and the Lakers have sometimes prioritized immediate competition over long-term sustainability. But let's talk specifically about what Anthony Davis brings to this organization that makes him irreplaceable in ways that go beyond just box score statistics. His defensive versatility allows the Lakers to switch across multiple positions, which is absolutely essential in modern NBA playoff basketball. He can guard everyone from point guards on the perimeter to traditional centers in the paint, and that switchability is what makes defensive schemes functional against elite offensive teams. Without AD's defensive presence, the Lakers would need to completely restructure their defensive identity, and finding another player who provides that level of versatility at the big man position is virtually impossible in today's market. Offensively, Davis provides something equally rare and valuable. He's a legitimate floor-spacing big man who can hit mid-range jumpers consistently, attack closeouts with face-up drives, finish at the rim with either hand, and operate as a roller in pick-and-roll situations. That offensive versatility means the Lakers can run multiple different offensive schemes depending on matchups and game situations. When you pair that with LeBron James's playmaking and vision, you get offensive possessions that are nearly impossible to defend when executed properly. The chemistry between LeBron and AD has been the foundation of every successful stretch this team has experienced since the 2020 championship. Speaking of LeBron, his presence and timeline create additional complexity in the Anthony Davis equation. LeBron is 40 years old, and while he continues to play at a remarkably high level, Father Time remains undefeated in sports history. The Lakers' championship window with LeBron as a primary contributor is realistically the next 2 to 3 years maximum. That creates urgency to maximize this current roster construction, while simultaneously planning for a post-LeBron era where Anthony Davis would presumably become the undisputed face of the franchise. Those two goals aren't necessarily contradictory, but they require different approaches to roster building and resource allocation. The question that Lakers fans should be asking is whether the organization is doing everything possible to put championship-caliber talent around Anthony Davis right now. The supporting cast has been inconsistent, with some players exceeding expectations, while others have underperformed relative to their contracts. The lack of a consistent third scoring option beyond LeBron and AD has been problematic in playoff situations where defenses can load up and make role players beat them. The defensive depth behind AD isn't sufficient to maintain elite defense when he needs rest or misses games due to injury. These are solvable problems, but they require strategic moves and potentially difficult decisions about current roster composition. Let me address the elephant in the room that some fans don't want to discuss honestly. There have been discussions in league circles about Anthony Davis's long-term future with the Lakers, not because of any dissatisfaction on his part, but because other teams recognize his value and would love to acquire him if the opportunity ever presented itself. The scenario I've seen discussed involves teams with young assets and future draft capital being willing to construct monster trade packages if they believed AD might be available. Now, I want to be absolutely clear that I'm not reporting AD as being shopped or that the Lakers have any intention of moving him. What I'm saying is that his value around the league is so high that teams are constantly evaluating whether they could construct offers that might be too good for any team to refuse. The hypothetical framework I've heard discussed involves established playoff teams looking to add a superstar big man who could push them into legitimate championship contention. Think about teams with solid rosters that are missing that one elite big man to complete their puzzle. They would be willing to part with multiple rotation players, future first-round picks, and young prospects to acquire someone of AD's caliber. From a purely asset management perspective, if a team offered 3 or 4 high-quality rotation players, plus multiple unprotected first-round picks, that's the type of package that organizations are forced to seriously evaluate, regardless of their initial inclinations. But here's why I believe the Lakers should absolutely not entertain any trade scenarios involving Anthony Davis unless something dramatically changes. First, you cannot replicate his two-way impact through multiple lesser players. The NBA isn't a game where 3 good players equal 1 great player, especially at the big man position. Second, the Lakers' championship window with LeBron depends entirely on having a second superstar, and AD is that player. Trading him would essentially concede the next 2 to 3 years, which is unacceptable given LeBron's legacy and what he means to this franchise. Third, the post-LeBron era needs a foundation, and AD is the perfect player to build around as he transitions into the unquestioned leader of the organization. Instead of entertaining trade scenarios, the Lakers should be aggressively pursuing contract extension discussions with Anthony Davis. Lock him in long-term, build roster continuity around him, and send a clear message to the rest of the league that he's untouchable. Yes, there's injury risk involved in any long-term contract, but the alternative of letting uncertainty linger creates distractions and prevents the organization from making other moves with confidence. Great organizations identify their franchise cornerstones and commit to them, then figure out how to construct winning rosters around those core pieces. The supporting cast construction is where the Lakers need to show innovation and strategic brilliance. They need to find athletic, versatile wings who can defend multiple positions and knock down open three-pointers. They need to add a legitimate backup center who can provide 15-20 quality minutes when AD needs rest or is playing power forward. They need to develop young talent through the G League and two-way contracts rather than relying exclusively on veteran minimum signings. The model exists in teams like Denver and Milwaukee, who've built championship rosters around superstar big men by surrounding them with complementary pieces that maximize their strengths. The Lakers' training staff and medical team also need to be given every resource possible to keep Anthony Davis healthy throughout the season. That means load management when appropriate, even if it's unpopular with fans who want to see him play every game. It means having specific protocols for maintaining his body throughout the grueling 82-game schedule. It means being smart about his minutes distribution and not running him into the ground during meaningless regular season stretches. The goal isn't to get 75 games out of AD in the regular season if it means he's too worn down to dominate in the playoffs. The goal is to have him at 100% health and energy when May and June arrive. Looking at successful models from around the league, the teams that win championships almost always have at least one dominant two-way big man. The Bucks won with Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Nuggets won with Nikola Jokic. The Warriors dynasty had Draymond Green playing elite defense at the 5. The Lakers' own 2020 championship was built on Anthony Davis playing center and dominating both ends of the floor. This isn't coincidence. It's fundamental basketball reality that controlling the paint and protecting the rim, while also being able to score efficiently inside, remains the foundation of championship basketball. AD gives the Lakers that foundation, and walking away from it would be organizational malpractice. The pressure on Lakers management right now is immense because the margin for error is razor thin. Every roster decision, every contract negotiation, every trade deadline move either moves you closer to or further from championship contention. The luxury tax implications are significant, given the Lakers' payroll, but ownership has shown willingness to spend when the roster justifies it. The question is whether the current front office has the creativity and courage to make the moves necessary to build a true championship contender around the LeBron AD core, while also planning for the future. One aspect that doesn't get discussed enough is Anthony Davis's leadership growth over the past few years. Early in his career, there were questions about whether he had the personality and force of will to be the unquestioned alpha on a championship team. But watching his development in LA, especially during the 2020 championship run, and in moments where LeBron has been out, AD has shown he can carry the offensive load and be a vocal leader in the locker room. That growth is essential because when LeBron eventually retires, the Lakers will need AD to step fully into that number one role, and he's demonstrated the capability to handle it. The connection between AD and the younger players on the roster is another positive sign for the organization. Guys like Austin Reeves and Max Christie benefit enormously from playing alongside a superstar who demands defensive attention and creates easier scoring opportunities through his gravity. The way AD has embraced mentoring younger teammates suggests he understands his role extends beyond just personal performance to helping develop the next generation of Lakers contributors. That's the type of culture building that championship organizations require from their franchise players. Now, let me address what I'm hearing about the Lakers' internal discussions regarding Anthony Davis' role and future. The organization is absolutely committed to building around him as a cornerstone piece, but there are ongoing conversations about how to optimize his usage to maximize both immediate competitiveness and long-term health. Some within the organization advocate for playing him more minutes at power forward alongside a traditional center, believing that reduces the physical toll of battling centers every night. Others argue his defensive versatility and rim protection are too valuable to not have him playing the 5 for significant stretches. Finding the right balance is crucial and probably requires flexibility based on matchups and game situations. The reality that Lakers fans need to accept is that Anthony Davis's injury history isn't going away, and managing his load throughout the season will remain a constant challenge. But that doesn't mean he's not worth building around, or that the Lakers should be exploring alternatives. It means being smart, being strategic, and having enough roster depth that when AD misses games, the team can still compete rather than completely falling apart. The Bucks provide a good model here, where they've built enough around Giannis that they can win games when he sits. But when he plays, they're legitimate championship contenders. Looking ahead to the rest of this season and beyond, my expectation is that Anthony Davis will continue being the Lakers' most important player on both ends of the floor. I expect the organization to extend him long-term, probably this summer, with a contract that reflects both his superstar status and the team's need for long-term cost certainty. I expect the Lakers to make moves at the trade deadline or in free agency to add the types of complementary pieces that championship rosters require. And I genuinely believe that if the health holds up and the roster construction improves, this team has the core pieces necessary to compete for championships, not just this year, but for several more years. The path forward requires commitment from all parties. Anthony Davis needs to continue his growth as a leader and maintain his elite two-way play. The Lakers' front office needs to surround him with the right complementary pieces and manage his workload intelligently. The coaching staff needs to implement schemes that maximize his strengths while minimizing unnecessary physical punishment. The training staff needs to keep him healthy and prepared for the marathon of an NBA season. When all those elements align, we've seen what this team is capable of, and it's championship-level basketball. So here's my honest assessment of where things stand. Anthony Davis is absolutely the right player for the Lakers to build around. His two-way dominance, his age and experience, his connection to the organization and city all point toward him being the face of this franchise for years to come. The questions aren't about whether he's good enough or worth it. They're about whether the Lakers can construct the right supporting cast and manage his health well enough to maximize the championship window. Those are solvable problems that require smart management and strategic thinking, but they're absolutely solvable. Now I want to hear directly from you on this situation. Do you believe the Lakers should offer Anthony Davis a max contract extension this summer? How would you construct the supporting cast to best complement his skills and playing style? What moves should the Lakers be exploring at the trade deadline to improve this roster's championship chances? Should AD play more minutes at the 4 or the 5 going forward? This is a discussion that impacts all of us as Lakers fans, and your perspectives matter. Leave your detailed thoughts in the comments below. If this deep dive gave you a comprehensive understanding of Anthony Davis's situation and what it means for the Lakers' future, make sure you're subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report and hit that notification bell. I bring you daily updates on every roster move, every strategic decision, and every development impacting our pursuit of banner number 18. This is where you get analysis that goes beyond surface level, examining the real factors that determine championship contention. Hit that like button, share this with every Lakers fan you know, and let's keep this crucial conversation going. Lakers Nation, let's get